Eliot Mannoia. I am half Austrian, half US American, and I graduated in 2004. I love Vienna, I love the city, and I knew a lot of the faculty that was going to be teaching the MBA course, which really did it for me. So I was very keen on learning from them. A lot of them are from the field, so are actually working professionals, and that was really kind of like a hands-on experience. And very strangely, I was also starting my DJ career, which is no longer, but at the time I started getting a lot of gigs as a DJ, so I wanted to use that network that I had in Vienna to pursue that kind of alongside. So it was kind of career and faculty decision. There's several. One that comes to mind is I had a friend whose father worked at the Egyptian embassy, and I really got close to the Egyptian culture in Vienna through Webster University, and even went to Egypt with him, with some other fellow students, and that was really just an unexpected, serendipitous kind of moment, which I really look back on fondly. Wow, I mean, very much so. Psychology has been with me even before I had the interest. Well, that's why I had the interest in psychology. So that kind of underlying passion was always there, and then having psychology, the theory and the exchange and the insights that I gleaned from Webster really helped me throughout my whole career, as well as management did. So especially the MBA, now that I'm self-employed, the MBA kind of gives you a nice toolkit for all of the things that you need to kind of look at when you're a self-employed person, such as your costs, your forecasts, managing your projects, looking at operations and so forth. So absolutely, it's been invaluable to me. I started BrandKarma in 2020, which was, I think, I finished my job in February, my last employed position, and then 2 weeks later was lockdown. So it was not the fertile ground to start a new business really, but nonetheless, here we are, and it's working. So I'm glad it worked out. BrandKarma is essentially a boutique consultancy. So we offer consultancy along the lines of digital psychology and emotional intelligence. So where other consultants focus on IQ, we focus on EQ, so emotional intelligence and psychology. And why BrandKarma? Because the way you are as a brand to your employees or customers is the karma you get back. That's why BrandKarma. And sometimes HR people think that I do employer branding, and marketing people think I do branding. And it's a bit of both. So it's essentially, we look at your customer journeys and we look at employee journeys. So how is the recruitment, the onboarding, the exit interview, all the way to customer experiences. And we look at it from a psychological perspective. And why I started BrandKarma, there was a whole bunch of turmoil and a bit of trauma that happened. So I can't, it wasn't just like a North Star moment where I looked up and said, wow, I know what I want to do. It was a couple of things that happened in my life, and I just ended up on a different path, and I kept exploring, and here we are, 5 years later. At the time, I was actually looking to pursue the MBA to kind of strengthen a weakness. So I was always stronger in psychology, the humanities, the interpersonal, the creative aspects, and the kind of finance aspects were actually a bit of a weakness of mine. So I actually did the MBA to strengthen my weaknesses and not necessarily to become an investment banker or to kind of go into a more finance direction perhaps. So at the time, it was a very holistic, I see it as a very holistic education because you're doing certain aspects in operations, in managerial accounting, in macroeconomics. So it's really a nice kind of holistic learning, education that you can get, which served me well throughout my career. Little did I know that 10, 15 years, 20 years later, I would start my own business, and it would become even more valuable in terms of forecasting and setting budgets, or just being able to analyze my costs and my break-even analysis and all sorts of stuff. So I definitely did find inspiration throughout the MBA because of the cases that you cover, some of the lecturers, some of the other students. It was definitely inspiring. I did feel that I wanted to get some industry experience first before starting my own business, and I definitely knew I wanted to start something, if I would, that I would do it with something that I'm very passionate about. How much time do we have? Well, the pandemic was a slight inconvenience on the macroeconomic aspect. Supply chain ramifications, the whole market was just kind of, not that supply chains affects me directly, but indirectly, if all of my potential prospects and clients are tightening their budgets, then as a new business. And what we do with BrandKarma is fairly new. So people understand management consultants, but if you're a psychology consultant, what, so we were seen kind of as a nice to have. So the climate, the financial climate was not optimal. Then, I had to learn new skills. So I did study psychology, and then I spent 20 years in communications and in technology. And I had the MBA, which, as you mentioned earlier, those three aspects, so technology, psychology, and the MBA, were super helpful. But I had to learn sales. I had to get good at sales. And it was, many challenges, many mistakes, many failures. And it took some time dealing with different people and all that, yeah. I remember taking a managing cultural diversity course with Miss Castles-Brown. We're in contact today still, or we're back in contact. So having that contact now is just a sign for the kind of alumni network also for Webster, which is brilliant. But it was an amazing workshop, so dealing with different cultures, very, very helpful. Then Professor Mr. van der Veen was an amazing professor as well. I had operations management, I had project management, macro, I had finance and managerial accounting, which really served me well in terms of just looking at break-even analysis, looking at different kind of business ratios, so how efficient we're running things here. Endless. There were many skills. We had one course where we also ran a simulation, and we had a business in microchips, and we were in different teams, and we had to make decisions in this software simulation that would have real ramifications. Well, not real, but ramifications within the game. And that was really a great experience as well. So, there's multiple aspects that really, that I still use today that helped me a lot. Starting from the schools, I think as personal as possible would help. So as getting the individuals at schools to explore and self-reflect as early as possible, and being able to, and they're doing that more now with social emotional learning, or just hey, what you're experiencing now is anger. These are some of the reasons, that's why you're acting out now. So getting people to self-reflect and self-analyze and self-care at an early age already. So schools are still very much theoretical. This is how this historian did it. This is how this historian, person in history did it. Here's a physics theory. Here's a chemistry theory. And it would be really beneficial to have more self-exploration at schools. So even if it's a history class, what would you do? How would you see it? What are your interpretations? So getting more of the people to self-reflect and to self-aware. And there's loads of things you could do there, with discussions, with groups, with actual psychology courses, more creativity. So art is usually like a side course, but having kind of more art, and it doesn't have to be drawing, it could be acting, it could be poetry, it could be writing. So there's loads that we could do at schools, especially with AI and a lot of technology coming now. We need to find greater soft skills, not just the STEM, the STEAM, the STEM and STEAM courses. And then why is emotional intelligence important? Why is it not? I mean, we need to be aware of things that are impacting us, not just relationships with other people, but technology. If we're doom scrolling, if we're on social media, if we have tech addiction, I think the greatest addiction that we have in society is attention. We crave attention, we need attention. We have a lot of psychologically unhealthy people in society, and if we really focus more on that, then I think we could solve a lot of the problems in the world. So that's my mission, my vision. So with BrandKarma, we really operate at the intersection of technology and psychology. That's why we call ourselves digital psychologists, and that's kind of our niche, because we love technology. It's fascinating and it's empowering, and it's gonna solve all sorts of diseases or new materials, and could be a hope for our climate change challenges. And at the same time, we love people, we love humans, and we want it to be human first. So I really see a greater need for that as we interact more, as we are now, through digital displays, and interact more with devices. So our vision for what industry? I mean, it's everything. It's from schooling all the way to all sorts of private sector and public sector NGOs, just to make sure that the human stays at the center of any technological advancements, if it's software or AI, but that human stays at the center of all considerations from an ethical perspective, and all other legal and all sorts of human rights issues. A Zoom or a Teams meeting, for example, has been proven by Yale University, is less engaging in the brain, so there's less activity in our brain than if it was a face-to-face. So if we are implementing technology, making sure that there's enough human time still, or that human time is prioritized. If we have AI at universities, that we ensure that critical thinking is being examined and challenged and tested, and not just creating summaries or essays. So we need new ways of testing knowledge. So they're critical thinking and critically examining. So understanding, and that may have to be a verbal exam. So new ways of testing. For the businesses, we know from different studies that 70+%, I think it's much higher, 70% of people at the office use AI with or without telling their boss. So we need to ensure that there's proper awareness, proper training, proper literacy, to ensure that people don't upload sensitive data or don't make decisions based on AI that's maybe hallucinating or it has biases. Every second AI model has a gender bias. Every fourth, on average, has a race bias, and those are just two types of biases. There's many. So there's a lot of human aspects, critical thinking, biases, ethics, so forth. And some interesting studies from a Dr. Bettina Kubicek from the University of Graz, where she analyzed call centers. And if the caller was in a bad mood, the AI would say, okay, say this. If the caller was in a good mood, the AI would say, please say this. And the motivation tanked. Because if we humans only have to read out what's written for us by AI, we don't have any more motivation. So we have to also look from a motivation perspective that the humans still have the cool part of the job and not just pressing a red button or a green button. Definitely explore your passions. So if you are, I would like to do that, then you are maybe bending and trying to fit into something because it's cool and like I want to do that, versus when I'm off work I naturally always do this, if it's puzzles or yoga or hiking or technology or software, whatever. What is it that when you stop working, you would love doing? And if you find that, then that's already a huge jump, because it's a lot of work. You work 7 days a week, and if it's something that you're not really interested in, it's going to be twice as hard. The second recommendation would be also to just network in all directions. Some people always network, some people sometimes only network upwards. So if they're important people, they network. If it's people around, they don't. And you can get so much input from different people from all areas that can really be helpful and also valuable, and not only in the business sense, just also intellectually, and getting new ideas and bouncing ideas off. So just talk to as many people as you can. Get ideas not just from people that you're looking for. If you're looking at the IT industry, don't just network with IT people and only senior people. Network with all sorts of people, you know, university professors, managers, sales people, marketing people. Just get different ideas. It's been super valuable for me to bounce my ideas off from a branding perspective. Am I doing it right when I ask marketing people? Or if I speak to university professors, I'm like, hey, can you give me some insights, new studies, what's going on? And I find that so exciting to learn from all sorts of different people. So it's not only about looking for the dollar value and looking for a transactional network. It's about just enriching yourself with intellect, with inspiration, with ideas, and giving, not just taking the whole time. I would recommend that when you study, you enjoy it as much as you can, and don't take it too serious. Also look at the experience of all of the peers. So engaging with different professors and learning from them, engaging with all your different students. Each student, especially at Webster, it's amazing. You have students from all sorts of industries, different positions. So some are starting out, some are more experienced, and different cultures. It's super diverse. So use the opportunity not just to learn, but to really learn from the entire environment that, for example, Webster offers. That would be my advice, my tip.